She spent years chasing people who never once paused to look back. She ran after their attention, their approval, their presence, believing that if she tried hard enough, someone would finally choose her. But she didn't realize she was losing pieces of herself every time someone walked away. The emptiness she felt wasn't from being alone. It was from abandoning her own heart to keep others close. She grew up believing that love was something you earned by being useful. Be nice, be patient, be understanding, be the one who always stays. She followed those rules so well that she forgot she was allowed to be loved without sacrificing every part of who she was. People liked her because she never complained. She was soft, gentle, always ready to help. When someone needed comfort, she was there. When someone needed company, she rushed over. When someone needed a listener, she opened her heart without hesitation. Yet when she needed the smallest bit of care, silence echoed back at her. She didn't ask for much just to matter, just to be seen, just to have someone hold her the way she held others. But the more she gave, the more invisible she became. People only came close when they needed something. When they were done, she returned to being the quiet shadow waiting for the next moment of relevance. One evening, she sat by her window watching the city lights blur into soft lines. Her phone was silent, yet she kept checking it out of habit. She realized how deeply she had tied her worth to messages from people who barely knew how to value her presence. Her best friend had stopped replying weeks ago. Her partner barely spoke unless he needed something. Her colleagues only remembered her when they needed help. Everyone seemed to drift in and out of her life like passing seasons, and yet she kept chasing them, hoping one day someone would stay. She told herself she just needed to try a little harder, be a little kinder, be a little more patient. But kindness without boundaries is a slow form of self-destruction. She didn't know that yet. All she knew was the ache of wanting to belong somewhere, even if she had to shrink to fit. A turning point came slowly, almost quietly. One morning, she woke up tired in a way sleep couldn't fix. It wasn't exhaustion, it was depletion. A feeling that everything inside her had been emptied out, poured into people who never held her with the same care. She looked at herself in the mirror and didn't recognize the girl staring back. Her eyes looked older, dimmer, like the light had quietly faded. She realized she had spent so much time proving her worth to others that she forgot to prove it to herself. She wrote a long message to someone she cared about deeply, explaining how she felt forgotten. Hours passed, no reply. She stared at the screen until her chest tightened into something heavy and familiar. She finally whispered to herself, "Why am I begging for attention from people who don't even see me?" That night, she cried not because she was hurt by others, but because she had betrayed herself for too long. She held her own hands and apologized for every moment she pushed herself aside to make room for people who never deserved her gentleness. The next day, she made a small decision that would change everything. She turned her phone off, placed it in a drawer, and stepped outside. The world felt different without the weight of waiting for someone to choose her. The air felt cleaner. The silence felt honest. She walked through a quiet park where sunlight spilled through the trees. For the first time in a long time, she felt the rhythm of her own footsteps instead of the echo of someone else's. Each step felt like a soft reminder that life could be gentle when she wasn't holding on to the wrong things. She sat on a bench and breathed deeply. No messages, no expectations, no guilt, just her. The peace scared her at first. It felt too unfamiliar. But slowly, she realized she had been craving exactly this, a world where she wasn't chasing anything. People reached out later, wondering where she had gone, but she no longer rushed to reply. She no longer felt the urgency to prove her loyalty. She gave herself permission to respond slowly, softly, or not at all. It wasn't anger, it was healing. Her partner grew irritated when she stopped doing everything for him. He accused her of changing. But she wasn't changing. She was returning to herself. He didn't know how to love someone who didn't bend for him, so he left, and for the first time, she didn't run after him. Her best friend called days later, needing help again, but she gently said she wasn't available. The surprise on the other end of the line was obvious. People who are used to your self-abandonment rarely know how to react when you choose yourself. The distance she created wasn't empty. It was protective. It was necessary. It was the space she needed to hear the parts of herself she had silenced for years. Slowly, she learned to speak kindly to herself, something she had never practiced before. Days passed, then weeks. Life didn't feel lonely anymore. It felt open. She started doing things she loved, reading at sunrise, journaling with soft music, walking with no destination. She didn't realize healing could look so simple. She discovered that self-love wasn't loud or glamorous, it was quiet. It was choosing peace over approval. It was letting go of people who only loved what she could give them. It was choosing to stay when everyone else walked away. In time, new people entered her life, soft, warm, patient souls who valued her presence without demanding her sacrifice. They listened, they noticed, they stayed. But she didn't cling to them. She had learned to let relationships grow naturally instead of chasing them in fear. One afternoon, during a conversation, someone asked her gently, "What do you want?" The question made her pause. No one had ever asked her that so sincerely before. She smiled quietly. She finally had an answer. She wanted a life where she didn't beg for love. A life where kindness wasn't currency. A life where she didn't have to run to be chosen. A life where she was enough simply by existing. She realized she had never been unworthy, she had just been giving her worth to the wrong people. And the moment she stopped chasing others, she found herself again. The girl who once ran after everyone now walked softly, carrying peace in her steps. She no longer feared being alone. She feared losing herself again. But she wouldn't. She had learned, she had grown, she had healed. And she finally knew that the people meant for her would never make her run to keep them. Because the right people don't walk away when you stop chasing, they walk beside you.